Hi everybody, this is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Thursday, September the 27th, and welcome to our video commentary. Well, you've heard about the United Nations. This is the week when the United Nations gets to hear from the presidents, the leaders of different countries. We saw President Trump a couple of days ago speak at the UN, and it's not a speech that anybody remembers really. It's has very little value. You know, nobody really talks about the speech a few days later. And one of the people who also spoke this year was the new president of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel. This is the man, of course, who was appointed by Raúl Castro earlier this year to succeed him. And there was something historic about it. It was the first time in many years that somebody not named Castro had spoken at the United Nations. The most famous visit by Fidel Castro to the United Nations was back in October of 1960 when he showed up in New York in the middle of the 1960 presidential election, and he gave this long speech, anti-American speech, which was quite a contrast really with the speech or the appearance that he gave about a year and a half before when he visited the United States in April of 1959, and he made that famous appearance on Meet the Press. When he said, "I'm not a communist." Well, by October of 1960, things had changed considerably. There were no elections in Cuba, and there was a lot of repression. And by then, I think everybody knew that this guy was not interested in elections. He was indeed more interested in dictatorship. But this year, of course, the new president of Cuba showed up, and it was the first time, I guess, he had been to the UN. But he gave a speech that was frankly quite disappointing because he basically just repeated it was a speech that Raúl Castro could have made, basically. It was an anti-US speech, pro-socialism speech, and, basically gave the standard anti-American speech that we've heard many times before. Now, it probably went over well with some of the usual suspects, but I don't think it's going to help him a heck of a lot. Certainly not going to fix any of Cuba's problems, and it's not going to bring him any closer to President Trump, who obviously, has a different view of the world than he does. So, we've heard a great deal about change in Cuba. We've heard a great deal about a new leader in Cuba, a new reform. But at the end of the day, it's really not true. There are no new reforms. There is no new leader of Cuba, or at least physically there is, but not in terms of change. So it's, as I said I have a post coming out Friday morning about this. There is a new name, there's a new person, but the system, which is the basic problem, that has not changed in Cuba. So new leader, but the same communist system. That's the reality of Cuba. Well, thank you for watching. We have all of these on YouTube. We have them on my Twitter, and we have them on my blog. And if September 27th is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.